Hey everybody, today is the 23rd of January. It's a Thursday. Still not used to that. This is called an AMA. I'm the CEO of Coinmetro, Kevin Murcko, and I'm here to answer questions. So you're going to ask questions and I'm going to answer them. Pretty simple. There's a few things that I have some updates on. I'm sure I'm going to get asked a question about it. If I'm not, I'll throw the updates out sometime during the show, and we can make snippets and pass them out where needed. So I'm going to jump right into it. First question up from Darko. What do you expect from XCM, Uni, and Flux in this bull market? When it comes to, let's start with Flux. So Flux, I think, has generally been pushing the envelope in terms of what their business is and what they're focused on, and bringing new things to market, and also some announcements coming up, which I don't even know what they are, but supposedly are going to be additional kind of armor inside of their wheelhouse. So I think Flux is well positioned to show kind of crypto that they're a real business. They're working on stuff, and that means that they should be valuable, that their value should rise. Obviously, everybody's in kind of meme porn frenzy right now, so utility doesn't really mean anything, but utility will come back. Utility will always be there. And yeah, we have these thematic kind of booms and pops around crypto, and that's always been the case. But at the end of the day, utility is utility. Uni, well, Uniswap obviously losing a lot of ground to things like Pump Fund, Solana blockchain in general, etc. Every blockchain since Ethereum, after the ICO bubble, etc., has tried to capitalize on some type of new token arc. Lots of blockchains outside of, well, Ethereum kind of won the NFT battle, but lots of blockchains try to capitalize on NFTs. Solana is definitely winning the meme war. And so we'll have to see. I think, Uniswap in general, it's a utility token. Well, it's a governance token. It's a governance token, I guess, by definition, which, to be honest, shouldn't really be bought and sold, even, to speculate on, to be very honest. But it is. And so, can't see me or hear me. I can see me, and, well, I can definitely hear me, but all right, let's see what happens here. Hold on. Not sure why that is. Let's see. Okay. Recheck audio here. Okay, let's see. All right, how about now, guys? I was seeing and hearing myself fine, so. All right, let somebody please let me know. I see everybody complaining is on. We see you now. Okay, you see me now, because I think others did see me. Okay, cool. Well, let's start from the top then. Okay, people definitely heard me, I think, because there were some questions coming in, or maybe they didn't. They were just asking questions to the wind. But so I'll start from the top. Let's get this question off. My name's Kevin Murcko. I'm CEO here at Coinmetro. This is an AMA. You ask, I answer. There we go. So jumping back into this question. So Darko asking about Flux, Uni, and XCM. Where do I see them in this bull market? So I started off with Flux, mentioning that Flux has been kind of making strides with their platform, adding in new products. They've had announcements as of late, and it seems like they'll have another announcement, I believe, in February, which is supposed to be a really big deal. They talked about their own centralized exchange, working with Coinmetro and other things. I see them working behind the scenes. I see them pushing their product. I see them doing really cool things, and building on infrastructure that obviously can be used by AI and other technologies that obviously are getting a lot of attention right now. So I think Flux has a good chance to be able to catch some wind once we get through the current, let me throw all my money on the next political meme coin cycle, which I think we're pretty close to coming out of. When it comes to Uniswap, it's a governance token. In all the hype of the last bull market, governance tokens popped. I'm not sure there really is a reason for a governance token to be so volatile. Having said that, people probably still equate Uniswap's token, their governance token, with the actual platform. Now, Uniswap being obviously built on Ethereum and its layer twos is losing a lot of ground because currently, well, one of the main token types are meme tokens, meme coins, and Solana is definitely winning the war there. So, depending on what happens with meme tokens and meme coins, obviously there's some, the greats some of the greats are still on Ethereum, that's for sure. But there's now millions of tokens that have been published on Solana. And so I think we have to see what happens with the meme tokens and the meme coins. As we start to see the market shift, Ethereum is still the winner, I think, when it comes to major infrastructure being built, whether that be banks, whether that be other financial institutions, when it comes to programmatic money, right? So they talk a lot about Bitcoin and, Bitcoin strategic reserve when it comes to treasury. But when we talk about programmatic money, it's almost always Ethereum that we mention in the news. Not that Solana hasn't, but much less. Considering that Solana is more centralized and does have outages, we've seen them. Now, Ethereum also has fee problems. There's another upgrade from Ethereum coming that's supposed to help with that. We'll see. I'm not so bullish on Uni. When it comes to XCM, it's utility token. Utility tokens obviously aren't in the spotlight right now, but utility tokens provide utility. And if they're connected to a platform, as that platform grows, they provide more utility. I still think there's some of the most interesting tokenomics, and I think XCM has really interesting tokenomics, and we're just now starting to see those go to work. So obviously, XCM, I'm going to be a bit one-sided. I believe XCM is going to do well. I think right now, the market focus has been very much almost degraded. Like we've gone backwards a little bit from, oh my God, all we need is some politicians to really believe in Bitcoin and crypto, and we could really mature this market and it'll grow. We got half of what we wanted. We got the most pro crypto candidate probably in the world right now. And then he launched his own meme coin. So, it is what it is. Sometimes you got to take a step back, to move forward. Actually, that's usually always how it is, especially in crypto. So the next few months will be telling in terms of how the market's going to shift and whether we're going to follow that familiar 4-year cycle or we're going to be moving out of that cycle. Hope you're having a great day. Thank you. Same to you. When strategic XCM reserve? That's a good question. I've actually been in contact with some people that are helping in some way, directly or indirectly, with Doge. Some people in my broader network. Not that I've tried to push an XCM reserve. But trying to get maybe a bit of FaceTime with somebody in Doge and then eventually maybe in the broader Trump organization. So we'll see. Fingers crossed. By the way, if you didn't notice, it's Throwback Thursday. So there you go. It's actually brand new. I opened the plastic bag to put it on. I got a lot of these. So updates. Charlie asked for updates. Okay, I got 2 updates for you. Let me check my Slack first because I got some messages that came in. Let's make sure that the update I'm going to give is not getting like rewritten or something. Here we go. Okay, it was someone from the team telling me there was no video. Should have looked at that before. Okay, so Charlie, update. So first update I'll do on advertising. We have 2 different campaigns, 2 main campaigns, I should say, that the team has been working on for quite some time. One is for newbies, one is for advanced users. Newbies being people that are just new to crypto, maybe never had an exchange account. Advanced users really means people that already have an exchange account and maybe looking for alternatives, right? So maybe advanced is the wrong word there, but that's how we segmented them. The newbie campaign has started today. The ads are currently with X and Meta for review. Once they're reviewed, they'll go live. So you may have already seen. I already saw one in the wild. I think though it might just have been a post on our actual X feed. But that's one of the ads that's going to go live. But we should see this go live today, hopefully. Advanced users will start next week. We also have a second part of the campaign that's about app downloads. And so there's a bit of work in the background on our app to make sure that we can facilitate this campaign. Potentially will as well go live next week or sometime next week. And then we have another small budget campaign, which is about kind of ongoing communications. And we got some really cool creatives that are coming out from kind of memeing famous movies and other things in pop culture. So you'll see that. On the second update, which is withdrawals for some assets, mainly ETH and ETH tokens that are sitting inside of our own custody solution. We use large custody providers like BitGo and Fireblocks. We also have our own ETH custody, which we use for tokens that historically weren't supported by either of those two institutions. And also for saving on fees when it comes to general ETH itself, as some of those secondary custody providers, their fee structures are quite high, especially one of them, significantly higher than, say, our own infrastructure. So the last update was 48 hours, which was roughly 48 hours ago. The situation basically arises is that because of some API upgrades that happened this past weekend, I think people will probably remember those, we had to upgrade our nodes. Now, the node infrastructure is part of the tech debt. Yeah? From 2019 was the last time that we really saw any major upgrades. When we upgraded, one piece of that node infrastructure called GETH or GETH or Go Ethereum, I think is the long name, had been updated, and it updated the way that you make calls inside of, let's say, your key management to be able to send transactions over an API. That broke how we had established our key management in the past. So we had two options, and we had to investigate those two options. One was the longer option, which is the most secure option, which is rewriting the code basically from scratch and making sure that obviously our keys are as secure as they can be, or our key management, I should say. The other side was less secure, but quicker. And right now we've come to a solution, and that solution is being worked on. It's going to be a kind of middle ground for a few weeks as we move to the much more secure solution. Now, having said that, the less secure solution is still secure. It's not like our keys are out in the open, but we like to be as secure as possible when we do anything, and sometimes that means additional time. So the last update I see is that tomorrow, not today, unfortunately, but tomorrow, we should have this intermediate solution up and running, and we'll be able to get all the pending withdrawals pushed out. And then over the course of the next week or so, in the background, along with other projects, we will move to rewriting the rest of the code to be able to go to the more secure solution for the future. That is the update. I think those are the two updates that I wanted to give. Now, Jack's coming up with a tech debt update. So talked about a bit of it. Some of that, we were now forced to move from our tech debt map and focus on ETH nodes, which is not a bad thing. That was definitely on the list, maybe not prioritized for right now, but is being worked on right now because of those upgrades in the background. So tech debt update. So we, as I think I've said before, maybe not on an AMA, but definitely on Telegram, I've talked about how coming in February, we will have 5 backend devs internal at Coinmetro, which is the most backend devs we've ever had. What that means is that we will have one backend dev entirely focused on maintenance, which essentially includes tech debt. We will have one that will be working on listings, yay, which means a constant inflow of new listings starting sometime in February or March, probably in March, potentially in the end of February, because this person starts roughly middle February. But they have experience with this stuff. It's not like we're taking a dev that worked for, I don't know, Kodak. I don't know why I said Kodak, but Kodak camera, and said, oh, we need to do crypto exchange listings, have at it. No. So that's not the case. And then we have someone that works on kind of, let's call them primary projects. Actually, probably 1.5 that works on primary projects. And then we have the other 1.5 kind of divisible between other pieces of kind of long-term things that we want to do that aren't necessarily related to revenue per se. A lot of that has to do, some of that can cross over into tech debt, some of that can cross over into projects. For example, working on our matching engine to revamp, potentially using some third-party code, et cetera, to get up to speed, status quo, and then above status quo in terms of some of our competitors, and remove some of the errors that clients have seen in the past. So that's tech debt update. If you want to know more, please ask. All right, yeah, so I fixed that. Mr. Tickler, I have 30K XCM, and am I going to make it? Make it to where? I don't know. I don't know what make it means for you. So you have to define that, because then I can answer the question. Is XRP the standard? No. Kevin, your camera lens is blocked. Okay, yeah, actually, the camera wasn't blocked. I don't know. I think maybe because it's the first time, it's a new computer. The first time that I used this particular service, and I could see myself, and I could see the sound was okay. Like I did a sound check, but potentially maybe when I restarted it, it worked fine. So who knows? Hey, Kevin, you mentioned new listings in February, March. So will we now have a continuous flow of listings coming, or this will be a one-off? Yes, as said, continuous listings. Also, one of the revamps we need to do for one of the tokens, I think it's Render, which becomes a Solana token, will essentially mean, just like now we can list ETH tokens with relative ease, we will be able to list Solana tokens with relative ease. Now, there's been some discussion, some water before I do this one. There's been some discussion about, would we list, say, Trump, Melania, Trump Jr., Trump's next door neighbor, whatever, the guy who cuts the grass at Mar-a-Lago, .trump.coin, all those. And I think most people here that have been here a while know my stance on meme coins. If you're new here, I'll give it to you real quick. I'm not a big fan of, let's say, gambling within the market, true gambling. Look, trading is very similar to gambling for most people because they treat it that way, not because it is. But when it comes to things that are kind of backed by nothing, have no utility, aren't connected to anything in reality, and are just based on a literal meme and or the name of someone, and the people that are jumping into these things have no real market experience, it turns into a bit of a gamble, right? It's very interesting. I'm going to take this question off while I answer this one, because now the question has nothing to do with my rant. But it's interesting that, with the president of the United States launching a meme coin and saying that he launched it, he didn't say he created it. He didn't say he endorsed it. He didn't say anything really, except he launched it. I think those words were probably chosen somewhat carefully before the speech. It's going to be really hard for anybody at the SEC, CTFC, any letter agency, especially in the US, but even elsewhere, to come with potential charges that, the previous SEC would have loved to come with, like pump and dumps, market manipulation, etc. Because, 80% owned by a few wallets and thing pumps like crazy. And then, dumps, but still remains relatively high, to be honest. But anyway, you get my point. It's going to be very difficult. The ability to set that precedent is going to be really hard, because any lawyer, even the dumbest in the room, is going to be like, bro, the president did it. And yeah, the president has, immunity against certain things, but, it's kind of like the argument, well, I saw my parents smoking, so I smoke, right? Anyway, now that's not necessarily a legal argument in a court of law, but I think you get my point. And so I like free markets. Maybe that might seem weird, given the fact of some of the decisions we've made over the years on what tokens we will list, et cetera, and not making that kind of more open. But that's been a lot about trying to stay with regulation, because my whole thing is you need to be regulated to one day potentially be unregulated. Trying to just be unregulated opens up a lot of risk, but outside of just the risk, it's harder to teach the powers that be that potentially this shit just isn't working, right? So, do it from the inside instead of from the outside. But doing it from the outside and the inside at the same time is actually even better. So the stance I take now is that potentially we may see listings like this in the future. I think we would probably want to segment them in some way, want to make sure people know what they're getting into, etc. I don't want to turn into a meme coin casino, and I don't want to turn into just another exchange listing things for a money grab. I don't want that either. But we are a business, so we need to figure out how we maintain our sense of ethos. We want this market to be as fair as it can be. We want people to profit, not lose. We want to protect people as much as we can from things that we believe might actually harm their portfolio rather than help it, et cetera, et cetera. It comes to my mind that, having a meme coin index might be a better idea. Or, things of that nature, as we had in the white paper. We didn't call it an index, but basically we talked about this in the white paper. Something like that can remove a little bit of that potential volatility, but also give someone access to something they may want to trade. But more to come on that over the next months, etc. Hey, Kevin, when new roadmap, when new Mars, what are your plans for onboarding new clients? Hey, Paul. So new roadmap, publicly sharing of a roadmap, that's a good question. Not something that I've necessarily talked about internally. We have a roadmap right now that leads us out probably into Q3. It's a very short-term roadmap, but it's about, because we're getting, new human resources, we also are kind of trying to make sure internally that we are laser focused and triple, quadruple down on what we need to do. I think by the end of Q2, we'll probably have something that we want to share longer term. When new Mars, good question. Not currently on the short-term roadmap. It is very, very important to me. It's a pet project of mine, and I want to see that thing happen as soon as possible, definitely within this year. But I don't have a date for you right now. Given that we kind of mapped out until May right now, roughly, it's not going to be through May, more than likely. Now, bringing on these new devs, depending on what that looks like once they really start to get active, could change things. And I can tell you that I'm definitely going to be pushing for Mars, 100%. What are your plans for onboarding new clients? Well, ads are kicking off. So our first kind of paid ads in a long time. Getting more active on social media. The social media posts that both Coinmetro's account and my account did over the Trump meme coin, the inauguration, got, several 100,000 views and interactions. And so normally on a weekly basis, we see about 15,000. And, we multiplied that by many multipliers within a day or two. Now, obvious, and we used to get a lot of flack because we didn't capitalize on these things, right? Things would happen and we weren't there posting about it. And well, we posted about this, and yep, as most people suspected, it was more widely viewed by the public. So we will continue to do that. There's going to be more and more both paid and unpaid pushes in social media, mainly on X, also on Meta, potentially even going into things like TikTok, etc. So those are kind of probably the main aspects. BizDev is going to be another aspect, but BizDev is more going to be about probably after Q1. And when I say BizDev, I mean potentially partnering with other platforms. We're starting to see, especially during fundraising calls, etc., starting to see a pattern emerging that bigger players in the industry are looking for acquisitions, but they want to acquire a group of smaller entities. And there are smaller entities now trying to come together so that they become an acquisition target or an investment target for larger entities, say 2026. And I've had multiple calls down that road. So BizDev will be also on the cards coming out of Q1. No, Lou, absolutely. This is somebody else's tech debt. So thank God, huh? Wow. For once, right? Not ours. Are you still bullish on lithium? Would love to hear your insights. So yes, I think, look, when it comes to layer ones, right? I've said this about Cadena. I've said this about other projects, and I'll say it about Alethium. Though Alethium, I think, has done a bit better in this narrative than other layer ones. Every layer one wants to do everything, and not every layer one is going to be great at everything. You need to figure out what you're good at. You need to market to the right people, and you need to have the right narrative for who you're marketing to. You need to know who your client is. I think Alethium has done a bit of a better job on that side than some of its competitors. Right now, when we had alt seasons previously, there were thousands of tokens. With the advent of Pump Fun and, everybody's grandma having 7 meme tokens, so she can buy some additional doilies or something for the house, there are millions now. Millions. And so with a retail public, when there's thousands, they look maybe at the top 100. They hear what their Uber driver's talking about, whatever. And generally money pumps into a certain percentage of them. But that percentage might be a few hundred tokens, but it was still a decent percentage of the overall amount of tokens on the market. Now there's millions, right? So somebody doesn't know whether to buy fart coin, I don't know, urine coin, or who knows what, right? Or Trump coin, right? Which one am I buying? And then there's a list of another million outside of that, and there's 45 new every second when I go over to Pump Fun. So what am I supposed to do? So the education that platforms need to do And you would hope maybe like influencers, etc. Of course, that never happens, but you would hope is much different than it would have than it had to be in the past. So the rising tide does not rise all ships as much as it used to. I still think there's thematic rises that help rise ships, right? So though on the larger themes like memes, there's too many. They're not all going to rise. When you talk about layer ones, utilities, et cetera, they are smaller ships and they probably will rise to a certain extent. I still think utility tokens at the end of the day, especially when tied to a platform, and I know this, it's kind of like me saying XCM in the background, but the idea that you can actually kind of judge where the token price should be based on the underlying business itself is probably easier to price even for a newbie than how much should Fartcoin be worth, right? And then of course you get like the XRP baggies that are like, oh, well, XRP is going to be worth 1,000 a token and it'll be worth more than Earth times 6, or whatever. Those people are still around for sure. What are some concrete things being worked on right now at Coinmetro HQ? So some additions to our staking programs are being worked on right now. USD withdrawals being worked on right now. Credit cards for dollars in the US and globally, as well as euro all around Europe, because right now we have a few holes being worked on, which leads to Google Pay, Apple Pay, DCA, etc. Those things are all kind of in the pipeline, and the initial part of that is being worked on. Yeah, I think those are probably the main topics that are being, obviously tech debt also being worked on right now, and gearing up for listings. We have about 3 to 5 listings that are ready to go. Now it's just about getting them scheduled. When will okay, so these are bonds. Sorry. When will these bonds no longer appear in my folio? Can you please get an option to hide certain assets completely from Folio? Folio? I don't know what that is. Like in MetaMask. Rather than putting the Band-Aid on there to hide them, I'd rather just get it fixed. The idea last year was that by Q3, Q4, we were going to integrate parts Ignium. That didn't happen. I guess you guys probably figured that out at this point. The way to do that is that we integrate Ignium and are able to then, those are gone. And then whatever you're supposed to have in place of a bond that's expired, for example, or if you hold equity, then you still hold the equity, et cetera, and you're able to trade it on the billboard. Timeline for that right now is not on my desk. Let's put it that way. I get, you want to hide them. Maybe that's something that, we could throw out there, I guess, in an update once we get these new devs on staff, just to help people. I know how it is. I like to clean up my things as well. I get that. I'd rather they'll work on this on the underlying issue rather than the Band-Aid. But we can see. We'll see. I guess you're going to have to follow up on that in Telegram with me. How is fundraising going? So fundraising picking up since the holidays, though has started to pick up more literally, I would say, end of last week. So on the 6th, 7th of January, I got on a call on the 26th of December, to be honest. But between the 26th, my next real group of calls was on the 6th, 7th, and 8th. And then we had a few reschedules here and there. Anyway, so calls are going well. There is definite interest. There's more interest now, I think, in exchanges, and there's companies that are trying to figure out how they can utilize owning an exchange to potentially help or kind of amplify their other businesses. And that was also a theme, let's say 2017, 18, 19, 2017, 18 more than 19, but 2021, not really, because DeFi was kind of the major thing then, and people weren't really thinking along those lines, and they thought, DeFi is much easier. We can pump all kinds of tokens out there, et cetera, et cetera. Now with, policy changes or potential policy changes and government changes, et cetera, especially in the US, along with, MiCA and all these things that are kind of coming around the world, there is additional interest in centralized exchanges. I've had good calls. I can't, as of right now, follow-up is starting next week. So I've had, let's say, initial calls with multiple VCs, investors, et cetera. I've had some really great calls I was in Estonia just for about 2 weeks, and I had a call from, I think it was 1 a.m. or 1:40 a.m. till 5:40 in the morning. It was scheduled for 30 minutes. And that was with, let's say, a high net worth individual, not necessarily the VC, but someone who's quite well known in almost any circle if you follow startups, et cetera, and have since, way back in the internet bubble days. So far, so good. We've been able to, like I said, maintain. So we've been able to maintain. We're still looking to close the round. My expectation is that we should be able to do that by the end of March. So we'll see. My friend has become a paranoid alcoholic and refuses to get help. Should I keep trying? Yeah, it's not up to you, man. It's up to them. So that's all I can say to you. Can you kindly give us the forehead certified crypto market forecast for 2025? I think I've given this like 50 times. Now I see, I'm on Twitter or X or whatever. And I see people saying that like, this is it. It's over already. The bull run's over, or Trump just sucked the money out of the bull run. There's no bull run now. And different variants. And I've also seen people say it hasn't even started yet. CZ just tweeted, for example, that the FOMO has just started. Can't believe I'm going to say this, but I would side more with CZ than most of the other people I've seen on X, meaning that so far this bull cycle has mimicked almost every other bull cycle in one way, 2 ways, 3 ways, 4 ways, 5 ways, almost every way. There's always some differences. That's for sure. They're never the same, but they're very similar. Just like they say that history doesn't repeat, it rhymes. Yeah, something like that. And I would say that's accurate. So I believe what we're seeing now that's a bit different is, Trump meme coin, right? So I don't think a lot of new retail money went to the Trump meme coin though, because new retail money would have to figure out that they had to buy Solana, go on a DEX, and then buy the Trump meme coin. That's not going to happen for the most part, right? During the ICO bubble, people had to figure out how to buy Ethereum and then go buy an ICO. But the ICO bubble itself took some time to get to its height. It didn't happen overnight. The ICO bubble lasted some time. Most people don't realize that because they only saw the kind of ultimate euphoria and the burst, right, of the bubble. They didn't see the bubble that started in 2016 or even 2014 for that matter, but started to kick off really 2016. It took a while. So when it comes to, the Trump meme coin, et cetera, and Trump himself being elected, people that, him getting, now people waiting, is he going to free Ross? Is he going to do this? What about the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve? Expecting him to, sign them all right in succession and only talk about Bitcoin every time he speaks. He just mentioned at the WEF that he wants US to be a leader in crypto and AI. His speech wasn't as entertaining as the Argentine president, I think, but, it was pretty close. So all that to say that currently I still expect Q1 to end up as a relative bullish quarter into Q2, end of Q2 into Q3, a bit of a lull in Bitcoin, potentially with that meaning money flowing back into alts and new retail money also coming into the fray, whether that be the memes or whatever. End of Q3 into Q4 will be the top, especially for alts, Bitcoin probably as well. And then into 2026, Q1 going from potential all-time highs on some assets, or let's say high ranges, and then capitulation. Now, from there, though, Q1 2026, I think we don't have 4-year cycles anymore, especially during the first 2 years of Trump, meaning the first year we're going to see 2025 to 2026, but that second year, which normally 4-year cycle-wise would be a bear market, I don't know how bearish it's going to be. I'm not saying it's a super cycle. I'm not going to say it's a Trump super cycle. I think it's going to go to like 1 billion. I'm not saying that either. But the first 2 years, he's got control of the House and the Senate. And depending on how much those guys want to support Trump, knowing that he can't run for re-election, but the kind of Republicans have the next year or two to put together candidates for the next presidential run, whether that be J.D. Vance or, whoever else inside Trump cabinet or whatever, so that the Republicans have somebody to rally around. And then we'll continue to rally around. And potentially, if they win the House and the Senate in the midterms, it's really going to change cycles. Anyway, so that's my 2025 forecast. I think I gave it to you. Plus, even into 2026 and beyond. So there you go. Can you do a shout out to my boy Otto? He's been holding XCM since TG. Hey, Otto, thanks a lot for the support, man. Really do appreciate it. I know it's been a rough ride. Trust me, I've been on it as well. It's been rough. But we're still here driving, and we still have all 4 tires, and they're getting upgrades, and we're going to keep on trucking, man. And with smoother terrain, it's going to be a lot easier. When and where do you plan to have a U.S. presence? Hey, Paul. Well, that's going to depend a lot on what the U.S. wants to do. Obviously, they have this SEC, kind of exploratory thing going on now. They also talked about before Trump got inaugurated, the CTFC, or CFTC. And at the end of the day, if federal regulation comes, it's going to depend on what that federal regulation looks like. At that point, then it's really just about kind of taxes and presence, right? So, we might end up with a presence like in, your Delaware's, your Las Vegas's, or Nevada, sorry, your Florida even potentially. It really depends. I think the statewide regulation needs to go away. Doesn't make sense, especially with things like, you have such a gap between what is New York State and then Montana, like nothing, Montana, versus New York State, which has the most probably restrictive crypto policies almost anywhere in the world. In fact, unless they ban it, right? Probably the most restrictive. That doesn't necessarily help, their end users really at any way, shape, or form, and also helps to create a monopoly because only a few companies actually get the licensing, and then they're able to offer in New York State. So, I think we're going to have to sit back and wait, but it depends. If it comes down to federal, if it stays at state level, but it's revamped, then we would choose a state where we felt, again, tax as well, but also what kind of presence do we need, cost base, and then branch out from there into other states. Why does Trump want Canada and Greenland so bad? Resources trade, Club of Rome, 10 Kingdoms. It's a cool question. I don't think he wants Canada so bad. I think the discussion he had with Trudeau before Trudeau resigned was, asking, look, what if the U.S. didn't help protect Canada's borders? What if we didn't have U.S. manufacturers manufacturing in Canada and then us paying import tax on those imports that we could have made in the United States for basically the same or less cost? And the response to that was, well, Canada wouldn't exist. So without the help from the U.S., the prime minister says that Canada can't exist, that it would have to dissolve. And I think it was somewhat in jest, but then maybe it should be a state. Kind of saying, look, why has it, I think kind of like them or hate them, or love them or hate them, or whatever. There is some common sense. Why do things work this way? Why is it that you need to provide money and support, etc., lose on trade on purpose? Now, initially, okay, were wages cheaper in Canada? Did we get something in return? Maybe we got some molasses syrup out of the reserve, because that's definitely worth it. But whatever we got, we probably got something. Oh, somehow I now see, I don't know if everybody saw Oliver's picture. That was weird. Hold on, give me a second, guys. I lost my camera for some reason. There we go. Hopefully you can still see me. I'll scroll down just to make sure, but let's see. Okay, I'm hoping you can still see me. I think I went away and I saw Oliver's picture with the voice thing behind it, and then me again. So anyway, let me know. I'll scroll down in a second here to check. So when it comes to, all right, but can you see me now? I know Ollie was back there for a second, but am I back? Let me know. Come on, I don't know how long it takes for these comments to pop up. Debbie, you said yep, but I don't know if that means yep, you can see me. So is the yes all good? Okay, thank you. Okay, back to so I think there's some common sense behind some of these things. Do I think the U.S. is going to annex and make Canada the 51st state or buy Greenland? The Greenland one's more likely than Canada, but I still don't think it's going to happen. I think the point is to say that, in any other business, and a country is a business in many ways. In any other business, if you are sending lots of money somewhere else and getting little or nothing in return, you would buy that. But you would either stop sending the money. You would stop sending them. If you were ruthless, you would stop paying the bill, and then the other company would collapse, and you'd buy it for pennies on the dollar. That's what you do. So why is it different here? What is the reason? And if their own prime minister can't come up with the reason, I'm not going to be able to, right? So yeah. Anyway, I think it's just about, it comes off as a bit arrogant, maybe that he's an asshole or whatever. But in reality, I think a lot of it, yeah, it's common sense, but delivered in Trumpisms, which sometimes can be understood in a way that make you not want to agree with the man, even if you agree with the man. How's that? Will there be new floors? No unfinished monkey records, no new floor. What do you consider the advantage of paying out staking rewards in different currencies than the staked coin? I think there's a lot of advantages. So one, from a company standpoint, we maximize treasury. So that's good for the company. From a user standpoint, the more especially when you have sell pressure, the more tokens that are coming out on the free market, the more sell pressure there is. So it keeps price down. Doesn't really make any sense from that aspect either. If you know that you can go to an exchange and buy their token, and you're trading, so you can do some quick math and say, oh, look, I'm going to save money. I can get this subscription for free. I can do this. I can do that. I can save money on trading fees. And that's going to save me X amount of money per year. Okay, I'm going to buy the token. So you buy the token, or maybe you just want to speculate, whatever it is. Maybe it's a combination of both. You buy the token. You like the tokenomics, whatever it is. Now you realize that by staking that token, by locking it, you're not getting the same token again that potentially puts sell pressure on the token you bought to speculate on. But what it does is it gives you access to every other token potentially every other token traded on the market itself. So you stake one token and potentially get hundreds of different tokens. So that, first of all, that sell pressure, because the kind of amount of sell pressure may be more, meaning the amount of APR you see could be higher, but it's spread across 100 assets or 200 assets or 300 assets. And so you're not really giving sell pressure to those other assets, but the individual user is able to gain, a whole bunch of other tokens and gain exposure to a whole bunch of other tokens. And let's not simply have all their exposure inside of that staked asset in one asset. I don't think there's a downside, to be honest. At least I don't see one. But if you see one, please let me know. Why do you have massive wildfires every single year that people always seem to be surprised about and then conveniently run out of water, even though it's unlimited? Well, I don't live in the US, so I have no wildfires myself. This didn't happen because of a fire, as far as I know. But if you're talking about the US, this is a unique question. I think everybody says this, like, there's hurricanes every year in Canada. Jesus, Canada on the brain. There's hurricanes every year in Florida, and big ones every 5 years and massive ones every 20 years. And it's like clockwork, but people still live in trailers and build their homes out of wood. Why? There is, you could do the same. There's blizzards every year up north, but they still can't, actively salt and plow a highway good enough so that people can drive on it, but somehow they can at the airport. They can land a massive airplane and it doesn't skid out, but your 1987 Nissan Sentra spins out because they can't put enough salt in the road. And why are they even using salt in the first place? Like there isn't a better solution, so I think this is human nature, man. Everybody in the moment, everybody's like, oh, we got to do something about this. And then nobody cares. And then it happens again. We got to do something about this. And then nobody cares. And it also just goes back to how politics work. You're only there for a certain amount of time. You want to get reelected. One of the best ways to get reelected, I'll give you a case study for this one. Remember 9/11? The things and the, okay. So 9/11, Rudy Giuliani, man, that dude became a hero after 9/11. Now, could he there's so many things that happened around 9/11 that could have potentially stopped 9/11 and they didn't do anything about it. But after it happened, because he was the crisis manager and he made everybody feel okay and felt like he was doing a really good job, he became a hero. Had he prevented 9/11, he wouldn't have been a hero because no one would have saw what would have happened and no one would have heard about him preventing anything, because who talks about, oh, by the way, guys, we prevented a wildfire today. I didn't see a fire. Yeah, because it never happened because we prevented it. So the way people vote is based on emotion. So almost like they want this stuff to happen so they can either blame it on the other side and get reelected, or fix it, at least temporarily, and get elected again. So, hey, Kev, I'd like to attend the shareholder meeting, but I chose XCM over equity. Is there a way to buy a minimum amount of equity somehow? There may be in the future. Right now, I mean, I don't know what you mean by minimum equity, like one share type of thing or something like that. I think the minimum we can sell legally, just so you know, is 0.01 cents, because in Estonia the equity is based on is not based on per share. It's based on cent value. So the entire company has a certain amount of equity, and then that equity is divisible, and it's divisible as far down as 1 cent. And I believe 1 cent, which essentially is 1/100th of a percent, equates, depending on the valuation. For instance, if it's 100 million valuation, that would be, I think, 10,000 euro, if I'm not mistaken. If it's 200,000, it'd be 20,000 euro. If it's 50 million, or sorry, 200 million, if it's 50 million, it would be 5,000 euro, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You may get an opportunity in the near future to do that. Who knows? When we're ready to sign some big tickets in the current fundraise, what we've normally done in the past is always opened up the door to see if anybody else was interested from our client base, because the whole ethos is we want you to be here for the ride. We want you, when Coinmetro becomes something that everybody's talking about, we want you to be able to be a piece of that, to have a piece of that, even a small piece. And not that we've talked necessarily about this directly, but it's something we've always done, and I assume we'd probably do it again. My ETH is still onboarding after I close my staking plan early. When will this be fixed? Unbonding. Sorry. The ETH unbonding may actually not have to do with, well, it has to do with our nodes. It's the exact same issue with ETH withdrawals. So long story short, we updated the node infrastructure, but Go Ethereum, which is one of the pieces of kind of Ethereum's infrastructure that helps manage nodes, changed the way we need to manage, not change the way we need to manage keys, but has a different way that keys are managed and a different way that you access kind of the API around how you manage keys. How you manage keys means how we can unbound, bound, send, etc., from our own infrastructure. And that's currently being worked on. Right now, the estimate is that sometime tomorrow, probably towards the end of the day, we will have an intermediate solution up. And then within a week or so of that, we'll have our permanent solution up. But the intermediate solution, at least to you guys, will seem exactly the same. So unbounding will happen, bounding will happen, and you will be able to get your pending withdrawals pushed up. Can you please list RLC? I've been waiting 4 years. No cap. A 13-year-old says that. I still have no idea what it means. So when it comes to token, man, you got to tag Alec. You got to tag Alec in Telegram. He's the man now on listings, not me. Not me. I even tag Alec. That's what I do. It was purposely vague question because I know you can't answer specific price questions. Do you believe that my 30K XCM stack is going to be worth a lot of money in the future? Again, I don't know what a lot is, right? If I said it's going to be worth, I don't know, 90,000 euros, was that a lot of money? Is 30,000 euros a lot of money? Is 3,000 euros a lot of money? I would say that, I guess, to answer that question in the best way I can, I believe XCM is going to be worth more than it was at its all-time high in the future. I think we will break that all-time high. And I think we will do that this time, not based on pure speculation and buying just based on speculation, but tokenomics and buying based on growth. Meaning, okay, still maybe speculation, but not wild speculation based on zero underlying information, but based on actual, not just perceived, but actual growth and our underlying tokenomics. I believe there's at least one, if not more, in the current list of projects ready to be listed. So absolutely. Is XCM the standard? I think if we were the same size as some of our tokenized competitors, our tokenomics would be the standard of exchange tokens, not our competitors. I have complete faith that Kevin and Coinmetro will be the Trojan horse we need to get in the EU to get things going. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate that. I know I got to get back to you on jumping on and doing a show. Sorry about that. I'll get back to you, I promise. When will CM change the buyback mechanism to only market buys? Honest answer, full transparency here. Nobody's ready to dig into that code right now. The fifth backend dev who's going to be working on kind of maintenance will have this on his to-do list. But in order to kind of understand and be able to get into that code, I think I mentioned before, right? When it comes to our tech debt, not just ours, but I know about ours, so I'm not going to speculate on somebody else's. Think of the tech debt as a spider web. Yeah. So there's a problem at somewhere in the spider web, and you fix it. While you're fixing it, obviously the whole spider web's moving, right? Because it's all interconnected. So you fix this, and then unbeknownst to you, all the way at the top, upper right quadrant of the spider web, something breaks. And you don't even know it's broken. No one else does either until there's a report of something. And then you realize that what you did had some underlying effect to this other mechanic, not related at all. So to give you a really stupid analogy, it's like, I don't know, you go to turn on the light in your bathroom and your lawnmower turns off. You ever see that Christmas Vacation movie, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation? The guy's trying to put all the lights on the house and he's getting really pissed off trying to connect in Chevy Chase. Son of a bitch. And then, his wife randomly just turns on a light switch in the garage and all the lights go on. And then she turns it off because she doesn't know that that's connected. Something like that. So the going in and changing that, while we may know where it is and know more or less what we need to change, changing it literally could affect, I don't know, trading on XRP USDT. And I say that in jest, but also it could. And that's kind of the state of play. And so rather than do that, we want to get to the point where we're rehashing and recoding the matching engine, the core of all our systems. When we're doing that, all these type of things will be addressed rather than addressing it now and potentially causing an issue that will go unseen or cause us to have to go off track on our roadmap to be able to address it. Do you think client-provided liquidity pools will ever be a thing? We've talked about this a lot in the past. I'd love to see it. I think it is part of a hybrid, and I've talked about a hybrid a lot in the past as well. So I hope so. I guess is how I'd answer that. I think there's a clear reason why that would make sense now, never mind in the future. Thematic indices for memes and other things is a great idea. Yeah, I think it is. It gives people exposure without so much individual volatility. An ETCF, if you will. Yes. Great name, by the way. Awesome. So XCM staking will continue until Mars. Yes, that is true. When will we see dividends from the growth token? So the growth token is essentially equity, dividends from equity. So, companies got to be profitable, and we saw a profitable month in Q4. January is going to be not profitable, but definitely on the high end of revenue that we saw through 2024. I think we will see probably at least another profitable month in Q1. Goal is that with what we do in Q1 and into Q2 in terms of getting credit cards and getting different things activated that we want to activate, new listings, etc. I think we will see profitable months both in the end, towards the end of Q2 and into Q3. And I think Q4 will be very profitable and will leave us profitable for the year. That's what we're looking at currently in terms of our projections. Now, being profitable for the year doesn't necessarily mean we're going to pay a dividend. Why not? Well, we obviously have things we still need to work on. And the goal of the company is to make sure that we're not only profitable like when everybody else is because the market's doing great, but we're profitable even in bear markets, even in lulls, even in times when volumes trail off. And there's work that needs to be done to do that. I am not against having some one-off dividend of some sort when we hit that stage of being profitable, just to congratulate everybody and say, thank you for supporting us. I'm not against that at all. But consistent, say quarterly or otherwise dividends, we're probably still a few years away from that. to be very honest. Things can change. I've seen things change in this market very, very drastically. So things can change, but I think that's more or less the timeline. Mars update, I think I already touched on that one, but I'm pushing for it to happen in 2025. Right now, it's not on our immediate roadmap, which leads out to the end of April. But as soon as we can, we're going to do it. So I think, we're getting pretty close to the hour here. I think, though I did talk to myself for 3 minutes, I think. So I think I talked about the focus areas in general. Focus areas are very, I would say, very much focused on status quo, upgrading and getting our matching engine solid, and then making sure deposits and withdrawals are once again nice and easy in multiple places of the world, especially in the USD world and dollars. Also enhancing where we can euros and other currencies using credit cards, debit cards, lower fees, etc. The other side of that is pushing out, more passive income, giving people other options for other assets that are more maybe mainstream, so that they have some passive income, especially when they start to see lulls in price, etc. And they may not be looking to sell, which we think will be happening Q2, Q3, and definitely more than likely into 2026. So a lot of work with tech debt and the matching engine and things like that, definitely. Professionally, I want to see Coinmetro at the stage where we are not talking about problems and issues and the what ifs, but we're talking about the future and only the future, and not in the light of when do we get, when is all this stuff going to be exactly as we always envisioned it. Just talking about all the great things that we're working on, constantly putting smiles on all your guys' faces, and making sure that whether you're a stakeholder or a token holder, or you're just a client, that we're actually living up to our own hype. I think that professionally, that's what I want to do. That ties in a lot to my personal life as well. I have a pretty complex life in many ways, and I'd love it to be less complex. Part of that is definitely on the professional side. Some of it's on the personal side. But the professional life definitely bleeds into the personal life. So, less complex, and hopefully more time to focus on, I'll call them pet projects within Coinmetro, things like, giving back, making sure that as we become a better business, we also become a better business in more ways than one, not just about profitability, but also about what we do and how we help. I'd love to get into kind of financial education. I'm not against, giving and things like that. I think it's a bit weird when companies like, oh, we're a crypto exchange and we, I don't know, gave money to build houses in Afghanistan. Not that they don't need houses in Afghanistan, probably, right? But why you're a crypto exchange, right? What you should be doing is focusing, to me at least, teaching people about money and telling them how things work and helping them where you probably have most of your expertise, you would imagine, right? So anyway, those, I guess I touched on some things. Hopefully that all makes sense. Does January look like it could be another profitable month? January won't be profitable, but like I said, it will be one of the biggest revenue generators. It's the biggest revenue month in 2025. But it's still one of the biggest in 2024. Hope you're doing well. Do you agree meme coins may become the new NFTs with Trump paving the way? Even meme coins stacking their own NFTs. What will that look like? Well, I think NFTs need to mature in a big way, and we need to use non-fungibles for things that actually drive value. And buying a crazy looking ape to get into some parties 3 times a year, if that's your thing, that's some utility. Okay. But, I've said this a lot, but the really easy way to look at NFTs or non-fungibles is if you ever had an LLC, a limited liability company, that's an NFT, literally, that's a non-fungible, right? Because one person can own one share that's valued at 50% of the company, and the other guy girl can own one share valued at 1% of the company. They both have one share, but they're very much different in terms of their value. That's a non-fungible. We need to start going down the path to make non-fungibles great again, but actually useful. And there's a million applications that maybe not as they might not be as fun for the populace, but they're definitely more valuable. I don't think meme coins and NFTs are similar in any way because of that. But I talked about this a bit. I think meme coins potentially, and I made a tweet about this, and it got some pretty decent exposure. The idea is Trump could do this the right way, meaning, you create a meme coin because people buy it because they support you. You make the Trump meme, they like Trump. They want to support Trump. They want to support, maybe not Trump directly, but they want to support what Trump supports. They want people to know they support Trump or whatever, or they want to short sell it because they hate the guy, whatever. But they take that emotion, that raw emotion and that tribalism, and they put it behind the meme. And that creates value. That's where the value is. And I think companies, any company, whether you're Nike shoes, making shoes, you're Mercedes making cars, you're McDonald's making hamburgers, right? You have a public that is behind you. And sometimes they're there because they support you. Maybe they don't even consume your product, but they consume your content. Like McDonald's, well, here's a good one. Fiat made a great tweet a few years ago. Like, why do all these crypto people hate us? That brought them a lot of people that started to consume their content, even though they don't drive a Fiat, right? What if they could add value behind that? What if they could take that, turn it into real value, and then allow people to trade that value between themselves? There's something there. And that essentially is a meme coin. Could they do that with an NFT? They could as well. But so I think that there is some value there. Do I think that's going to happen this cycle? No. Do I think there will be some brands that will attempt to use a meme token to potentially bring people to not only consume their content, but consume their product? Yes. Do I think it's going to be super mature and then we're going to have like a template on how to do this? No. But I think it's a possibility in the future. These AMAs are priceless. As far as I know, you're the only sex owner that does them. Would make sense to post best of snippets on social media. Yeah, Paul, I think we did do that for a while. We had a bloopers reel once as well, which was embarrassing. But yeah, we had a bloop. So yeah, I think we do this actually. But Alec is listening. So Alec, maybe I do say some things that make sense every once in a while that we could do snippets of. I mean, that's not a bad idea. I'm paranoid alcoholic and I feel like my friends are abandoning me. Yeah, you're not paranoid, bro. Paranoid is when you're worried about something that's, probably there's nothing to be worried about, right? Yeah, you're not worried. You're not paranoid. 4 years ago, the investors were pushing the XCM price past 60 cents. Are they no longer interested in XCM? Volume has never been as high, and now XCM seems to be at a bargain price. Well, so it wasn't just investors, but there was definitely a group of investors behind XCM that were buying XCM as it went up. That's for sure. They still support XCM. They still own XCM. They're still here. I think some of them have, on the broader crypto have kind of lost some of their enthusiasm because through that time from XCM to others, they lost money. These are most of the people that were definitely behind the floor because they were losing money everywhere else. They kind of soured their taste on crypto and, but still had XCM. I do expect that to change. I think we're on the cusp of that changing with what's happening in the US, what's happening with policy, what we expect to happen with policy, et cetera. I do expect that to start to change. Those investors are still there. They haven't left. Hey, Kevin, nice to see you. Are individual IBANs and credit cards still on the map? How about peer-to-peer transfers? Peer-to-peer transfers aren't on the current short-term roadmap. I really hope, man, we get these before Christmas this year because I don't think it's going to be a massive lift. And with some of the other things we're doing that we're in the process of doing, whether that be Apple Pay, Google Pay, DCA, et cetera, peer-to-peer fits right nicely into that. So I'll be bringing this up as well, along with Mars as one of my pet peeves. Individual IBANs and credit cards, not on the map currently. At the end of the day, credit card offering is a loss for the company always. You don't make money on cards when you offer cards. It's more of a way to get new clients. So then the real question is, how could we position ourselves with the other major providers of cards and actually be able to grow our client base? Like, can we compete? And I think there's things we need to do before we can compete. I don't think the card is necessarily going to get us there. So my answer to that is more than likely in the future. I still think having virtual only, going through the Apple, Google Pay model, et cetera, like I think cards is a bit of a step in the wrong direction. But individual IBANs were kind of a potential Band-Aid for banking services not liking crypto. I do think with both MiCA in the EU and potential coming crypto policy in the US, that's probably going to change anyway. What I would say is that we're going to keep our eye on these things. And once we've kind of gotten through this status quo process, it's definitely one of the things that's going to be on discussion. Karl Marx, there you go. Thank you for that. He absolutely does. And you know, a lot of things that people sometimes are really scared of common sense. You know, and we've been, the society has been changed in a way over the past years where common sense has become criminalized, literally. And that's scary. And so having somebody, you may not like what someone says. Like there's another old saying, this one isn't Karl Marx, but like, I might not like what you say, but I'll fight to the death to defend you saying it. Yeah. And I think this is generally like that. I am a defender of common sense. And I might not like some common sense, you know, what I mean, there might be things you say, I'm like, I know, but it's just not me. I don't like that. But if common sense become criminalized, if opinions become criminalized, if you're forced to live in someone else's fantasy, or if not, you go to jail, we're in a weird world, man. It's not 1984. It's worse. Still nothing from Parsec about React. Not to us, as far as I know. No. Yep, the ghost of well, he's not haunting, man. He's just checking in. Just checking in, you know. Okay, so this is when I had my my whatever blip. We're over the hour mark, but I'm going to finish up with the questions here. So why not focusing on local advertising in different target countries? Hey, crypto, I guess you probably offer that. It's not that we won't be doing that. It's just that right now we're looking for more broader coverage inside of the market the way it is now. I think localized advertising makes a lot of sense, but right now for us, the broader, the better. Can the community help with marketing? What's the best thing they can do? Well, hopefully our referral system is going to get fixed up here shortly. You know, talking about Coinmetro, telling people about Coinmetro, retweeting, liking our tweets, liking this thing, this AMA. You know, sending the link, putting it on YouTube, sending it. Listen to this guy. I don't know. You know, anything you do to promote, to push Coinmetro is helping. That's for sure. Every time you mention it, every time you like it, tweet it, whatever, is helping. And it's a big help. You mentioned in the voice chat that many XCM sellers are doing so to trade. Any inside of these sellers? Well, no, these are people that are buying and selling. This is what I'm saying. It's not that they have bags. It's that they'll come in, and when price falls, of course, especially if there's a limit order right below this price, right? So they see a limit order of 2,500 right at a certain price. Well, why not sell down into that, right? Or you buy right above it is another strategy. So, you know, they're trading. It's not that they have bags and they're dumping. It's that most of this action that you're seeing are people that are coming in and out of the market, which means they're on the buy and sell side. How's the runway as well? So as of right now, I haven't seen the numbers yet. Well, we don't know the complete numbers for January. We added a bit to the runway in December, and November was almost nothing coming out of the runway. I would say we're probably hovering around that 6-month mark. Though there's a few things in the works right now that I think we will extend that at least by 50% over the coming month and a half. And then hopefully end of March, we will be able to extend that greatly by that was a Trump word, greatly, by finalizing the round. Hey, Kevin, thoughts on what it means for the crypto industry to have Trump's team having released a bunch of blatantly offensive rug pulls? Well, one, I don't know if they're rug pulls. And you know, I see what everybody else sees, 80% held by a small network, that tokens become available almost immediately over time throughout his entire presidency, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Still, to me, rug pull literally means that you are going in with the specific reason of hyping as much as you can, and then immediately at the top selling everything you have or everything you can sell and removing all liquidity from the market. I haven't seen that happen on the Trump coin. I don't think you're going to see that happen. Now, having said that, I talked about this a bit, right? I think there's some really interesting stuff here in that if I play like conspiracy theorist, right? And so maybe the idea here is you get rid of Gary Gensler, right? You then do something that would have been completely attacked as illegal from the previous SEC. But you do it, and the president launches it, and then you install someone new in the president in the office in the SEC. Now, of course, they're not going to go after the president of the United States. So, can they go after anybody else for doing something similar? Probably not. They also said that they want to stop enforcement until they figure out exactly how they want to police crypto. So it's almost like this was done on purpose, not necessarily for a money grab, but in order to, in more ways than one, shape policy. You want a free market? There you go, bro. Free market. Do your own research. And, everybody else can do it now too. Is that a good thing? Well, we can discuss that as well. Is it good or bad? But, it is a bit, you could call it, not fitting in the office of the president, but, what did you expect from Trump, right? That's how Trump operates. The guy sold everything from steaks to airplanes. Why not a meme coin? Trump Bibles, Trump sneakers, whatever. Trump NFTs. Again, we all wanted a crypto president. We got him. So I guess, beggars can't be choosers at this point is kind of part of my understanding. Thought on what it means for the crypto industry to have Trump team. Okay, I think that was posted twice. Yeah, I think you're misconstruing justification with explaining what happened. It's not about justifying it. Again, most people that wanted a crypto president person, a crypto prime minister, whatever, want free markets. Well, what is this? It's a free market. Do you have to like it? Nope. Do you have to buy it? Nope. Whose fault is it if you buy it? Is it my fault if you buy it? Is it your fault if you buy it? Is it your neighbor's fault who told you about it? There's very little things in life that if you do, you can blame that someone told you to do it, right? Without getting punished. That's just not how things work, right? So, yeah, anyway. He escaped from Reddit. He's always here. Snippets would most likely need to be vertical and AMA is horizontal. Well, I think we can fix that. I think we can fix that. I could do the AMA in vertical. There's actually an option. I could switch it right now. I don't know what it would do to my setup, but we could give it a shot. Yeah, maybe. But again, if we launch cards, then we have to compete with the likes of, crypto.com, et cetera, that provide cards. Would someone come for the Coinmetro card, or would they just still stick with the crypto.com card? Now, with a revamped Coinmetro matching engine, tech that's gone away, et cetera, I think we have more a level to compete. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I guess this is the double-edged sword, man. This is the double-edged sword in that every Bitcoin maximalist wants a free market. I guarantee you, if they're a true maximalist and they understand what that means, then they want free markets and they want less government intrusion into that free market. And if that's it, you should be applauding the Trump coin. You may hate it. You may think he's the biggest moron in the face of the earth, and you may think it makes the U.S. look bad or whatever. You have your reasons, and I'm not saying you're wrong, but it's a free market, and it's for and the tokenomics were out there. They tweeted them. You could look at them. If you bought it and didn't do your research, well, free market. So I don't know if that's clown world, and be honest. For many people, that is the perfect world. If we always had free markets, would we have uneducated investors as much as we do now? Maybe not. They would have learned by now. It would have been maybe taught even in schools at this point. It's not, though. Why? Because regulators have always tried to police by not letting you in, and thus they don't have to teach you how it works because they don't want to. So in that respect, I don't think it's bad. There are terrible aspects to it, but there are also not so bad aspects to it. Yeah, but take it this way, Victor. If you wanted to launch Victor Coin, not being, terribly wealthy, you could do it just like he did. That's a free market, right? I could do it. You could do it. We could do the forehead meme, man. Forehead coin, let it rip, and then all the money goes out to XCM holders. Why not? We couldn't do that before. We could do it now. I'm not saying we will. I'm not even saying it's a good idea. What I'm saying is you know, anybody can do it. Cool. So last one here, cards are also a topic to talk about when you, it's a good marketing tactic. I'm definitely not, but you need people to acquire the card for it to be a marketing tactic. That's the chicken and the egg. Awesome. All right. I'm going to leave it there, guys. Thank you very much for the questions. We're an hour and almost 15 minutes in. Of course, I think I talked to myself for 2 or 3 minutes. So more or less. Throwback Thursday, done and dusted. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thanks for the patience with those ETH node upgrades. We're almost done. And thanks for supporting us all these years. Thanks for your continued support. Like and subscribe and do all those things wherever you're listening or seeing me, or if you're not seeing me, listening to me. And if you can't listen to me, see me. I don't know. I guess looking at this and not being able to listen to it would be really stupid. But take care. Have a great rest of your Thursday. Have a great Friday and have a great weekend. And see you guys around. If I didn't get to your question or you have one burning, tag me on TG at Kevin Murcko or tweet me at Kevin Murcko on X. Cheers. And buy XCM, obviously. I mean, of course.